Welcome to the Wingfoil Gear Guide Part 3. I'll be looking at hand wings, leashes, armour and footstraps. Let's begin with hand wing sizes. I'd recommend you start with at least 2 sizes of hand wing. Specifically, one that suits you for light wind, covering around 12 to 22 knots, and another that suits you for medium wind, ranging from around 18 knots to 28 knots. You could also get a hand wing size for strong wind of 30 knots plus. However, at many locations, such strong wind tends to ruin the water conditions for learning, so you can save that purchase until later. Importantly, for larger hand wing sizes, there is a limit to the wingspan that you can use depending on your height. To make full use of a hand wing, you need to be able to incline it more than 45 degrees, so it gives you the forwards drive you need to gain speed and take off. If you can't incline a given hand wing span beyond 45 degrees, it's a waste having that size. A general purpose hand wing shape, commonly referred to as a free ride wing, will serve you well. Typically, this has swept back or rounded wingtips, which makes the wing very easy to turn. You can easily steer it with one hand. A wave-specific hand wing has some differences. The wingtips are more squared, which helps lock the wing to the apparent wind. This makes it more solid and predictable while flagged out. However, that also means it takes a little more force with your hands to rotate it or steer it. This wing has a slightly thicker leading edge, which makes its lift more consistent across a range of angles of attack, meaning the wing jumps up and down less while flagged out. However, a thicker leading edge limits the higher speeds you might want for freestyle or racing. Also, the total weight is kept as low as possible to help you ignore the wing while it's flagged out, so the windows are removed and a boom is used instead of 2 handles. For large surface area wings of 7 or 8 meters squared, you can't really make the wingspan much larger. The wingtips would catch. So, these larger wings need a deeper chord instead. However, a deeper chord would make the canopy too flappy, especially for pumping, so then you simply need some structural reinforcement with these larger sizes. For your first hand wing, you probably don't want to opt for the most expensive materials, since there's a high chance of you putting your hydrofoil through it anyway. The latest and generally most expensive materials do make a difference, however. They offer a more rigid airframe, which means that the wingtips bend back less under load. That helps, for example, when pumping or when jumping. These materials also help reduce weight, which helps with float in lighter wind. You can use a boom or handles, it doesn't matter much. Handles help guide your hand placement when you're learning, and they don't get in your way very much. A boom is generally lighter than 2 rigid handles. It's nice for one-handed control and for quick hand placement during freestyle. Also, you'll probably feel at home with the boom if you're a windsurfer. For the hand wing, I'd recommend a wrist leash or a waist leash. For the board, I'd recommend a waist leash or a calf leash. I would avoid ankle leashes for the board as they tend to get caught around your feet quite often. It's nice to have a bungeed or coiled leash so that there's not as much slack dangling around. The tips of your hydrofoil wings can be sharp enough to cut you. Therefore, you must have head protection, and ideally you want something protecting the rest of you. Wearing a wetsuit can help. Without a wetsuit, you'd want to protect your feet, shins, forearm and torso. A vest can help mitigate impacts while also giving some safety critical buoyancy. Footstraps increase your control over the board and foil. However, for novices they can cause some horrendous injuries. It's common for a novice to let the foil roll one way while they roll the other way. If you jackknife like that, you might be kissing goodbye to some knee or ankle ligaments while also getting chopped in the head by your hydrofoil. So completely avoid footstraps until you master falling, until you know instinctively and confidently what to do during a crash. Also, at first you should be experimenting with foot placement anyway. You learn a lot from shuffling your feet to different parts of the deck. If you put footstraps on too soon, you'll miss out on that crucial experience. I'd only consider foot straps once you're absolutely confident of foot placement during all basic maneuvers. Until you want to shred a wave or jump, you really don't need foot straps anyway. When you're ready, a wise setup will help you learn to ride with either foot forward using foot straps. I'd also recommend keeping the front foot straps large and loose so that you can keep your foot placement close to the center line without getting your foot jammed in the straps. It helps if you can bail from the board quickly at any time. Please feel free to ask your gear questions in the comments section. Thanks for watching and good luck finding your next Wingfoil setup.